Sahabat Sejahtera, to Dr. Shukri and friends. So today Group 7 will continue the presentation on topic trade problems of developing nation. So we will go straight to the discussion 3. Next slide. Discussion 3 on review on China's declining TOT. So the economy of China has been undergoing a spectacular process of growth for almost 4 decades. So during 2008, China has become one of the largest export-oriented countries. China is also the third largest trading state of the world, and during the past 3 decades, China's term of trade showed different trends, where it shows a sharp decline in the past decade. So there are 2 issues that I want to highlight today. So the first issue is whether the terms of trade are associated with economic growth, and the second one is, as per asked by the doctor, why has the falling TOT argument held less sway in recent years for some developing countries such as China? So to answer both of the issue, I will refer to the empirical studies by Jawaid, Taslim, Reza and Said at the bottom. So this is China terms of trade. Next slide. Okay, so this is China terms of trade. So as we can see, in the 1990s to 2000, it shows a sharp decline. Why? Because the Asian financial crisis at that time affected China at the margin, mainly through decreased foreign direct investment (FDI) and a sharp drop in the growth of its export. Next slide. So now we want to look the impacts of TOT and its volatility on economic growth in China. So the empirical studies run 3 tests. So the first test is to examine the stationary properties for the long-run relationship of time series variable. So they use the augmented decay Fuller ADF test, and the second one is Philip Barham PP unit root test. And the second test is to analyze the long-run relationship between TOT and economic growth. So they use the auto-regressive distributed lag ARDL co-integration and Johansson and Juselius 1919 co-integration. So the third test is sensitivity analysis, is to check the robustness of the test 1 and test 2 result. Next slide. So what can we get from the test 1, test 2 and test 3? So the result for test 1, they said that it has a combination of one or more series may exhibit long-run relationship among all the variables of equation, and test 2 state that there is a significant negative long-run relationship between TOT and economic growth for China. And the third test, they said that the relationship between TOT and volatility of TOT with economic growth in China are robust. So what can I conclude from the test 1, test 2 and test 3? And to answer the issue 1 and issue 2, so for the issue 1, the results shows the statistically significant negative effect of TOT on the economic growth for China in the long run. So the negative effect of TOT may be explained by the phenomena that the import price of the goods is relatively higher than the export price of the rate, or the rate of increase in import price is relatively larger than the export price. So for the issue 2, as a result, the decline in TOT for some developing countries such as China has less weight or significant because it is beneficial to China's economic growth, as it needs less volatile TOT for a better economic growth. So that's all for me. I pass to the next presenter.
Okay, discussion 4. Tariff imposed by the advanced nation on import from developing nations tend to be higher than those that they levy on other advanced nations. Okay, tariff is tax imposed by one country on the good and service import from another country. Wealthy country maintain low tariff compared to developing country. Country with low tariff such as Singapore, Australia and New Zealand, and country with high tariff such as Bermuda, Fiji, Bosnia. Then, okay, why? It was because the importing country usually benefit from a tariff, as they are the ones imposing the tariff. First, to maintain the quality of food in their domestic market. Lack of technology and resources in developing nations lead to product produced may not be complying quality and standard given. Second, rich country nations set trade policy to impose higher tariffs to the developing nation to gain wealth. For example, agriculture products that developing countries are best at producing face high barrier such as tax, thus dumping on world market, lowering price and hurting poor country farmers, and they can take advantage on it. Then, okay, number four, developed countries can collect revenue. Domestic business benefit from tariff because it makes their goods cheaper than imported goods, hence driving up the demand for their product, increase government revenues that can be used to be benefit one of the economy. To protect newly established domestic industry from foreign competition. New products produced by domestic industry did not need to compete with imported goods. Increased production because of the demand and higher price lead to domestic increase in employment and consumer spending. Okay, next presenter.
Okay, for discussion 5, next slide. Okay, I'm going to explain about the difference between IMF and World Bank. So IMF stands for International Monetary Fund. It's an international organization maintaining the global monetary system. So IMF focus on economic stability and their objective to deal with all the issues related to the financial sector and macroeconomics. And moving on to World Bank. So World Bank is a global organization established to finance and advise the developing nations in order to make them economically developed. So their focus on economic growth and objective to lessen poverty and promote the long-term development of the economy. Okay, next slide. Okay, I'm going to briefly explain about difference between GATT and WTO. So, GATT stands for General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. GATT can be described as a set of rules, multilateral trade agreement that came into force to encourage international trade and remove cross-country trade barriers. It is a multilateral legal agreement which was signed by 23 nations. Okay, its rules are applicable to trade in merchandise goods, and its agreements are originally multilateral, but plurilateral agreements are added to it later. Moving on to WTO, which is World Trade Organization. So WTO is an international organization that came into existence to oversee and liberalize trade between countries. So WTO is a global body which superseded GATT and deals with the rules of international trade between member nations. Okay, basically WTO was formed as a replacement for GATT in 1995. Its rules are applicable to trade in merchandise, trade in services, and also trade-related aspect of intellectual property. Okay, and its agreement are purely multilateral. Next slide. Next, I'm going to explain about UNCTAD, UNIDO, and OECD. So UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, is a UN body responsible for dealing with development issues, particularly international trade. Moving on to UNIDO, it is the specialized agency of the United Nations that promotes industrial development for poverty reduction, inclusive globalization, and environmental sustainability. So UNIDO strategic priorities are creating shared prosperity, advancing economic competitiveness, and safeguarding the environment. Moving on to OECD, stand for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It is an international organization that promotes policy coordination and economic freedom among developed nations. The mission of the OECD is to promote policies that will improve the economic and social welfare of people in developed nations. Next slide. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. One question from you all. Please immediately ask a question. Yes, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. I want to ask
Your
for
name, Farhana or Aida?
yes.
Uh,
I want to ask why is it hard for some countries to do import or export goods or services to other countries?
Okay, I okay. Thank you for the question, Aida. I think maybe it is because there are some restrictions made by the countries, and some countries need to compile and then have hard custom procedures that increase their costs. So it's quite hard for them to import or export goods. And then some countries have procedures when we need to excessive labeling or packaging requirements that you need to follow. And then it made and put respected countries in disadvantages and made them cannot trade their products. So I think these are some points that can slow down trade or prevent it to happen.
okay. What is the difference between what's the function of UNIDO? Do you know the function of UNIDO? United Nations Industrial Development. Okay, let me answer that. Trade liberalization, which is opening of trade, as espoused by the Gat at that time, then now WTO, now since 1995 WTO, trade liberalization, which is opening of the borders for imports to come, which is by lowering tariff and so on. This is what we call trade liberalization, reduce tariff and so on, has consequences for firms, domestic firms. They will be, they have to compete with imports coming from outside of the country, and there is going to be consequences in terms of employment when they compete. You know, they have to compete on the price. They cannot sell like before under the protection, so they have to compete with the world price. So whether they can produce the product low enough to cover their cost to sell in order to compete. You know, if your cost is so high, how can you compete with imports from coming from outside of the country, which is cheaper? So there is going to be consequences in terms of maybe some people will lose jobs. So here come UNIDO will come in to help in that transition of, you know, trade liberalization. Whereas UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, is about trade facilitation and so on. World Bank is about long-term loan for development. IMF for short-term loan to settle the short-term current account instability. So here they have different function. So I was just explaining to you UNIDO, which is very we don't hear about UNIDO often. We hear about IMF, World Bank, UNCTAD, not about UNIDO. So let me invite group 8 now, right now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Dr. Shukri and friends. We are from Group 8. Our topic is Regional Trading Arrangement. Next. And this is our group members, Nur Nadira, Nurul Shazwani, me, Interna Shafika, Misha Aliana, and Siti Zulaika. Next. Next. So this is the question that we get. Next. The first thing that we need to do, before this, next. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to draw demand and supply curve. To find the equilibrium point, we use formula. We know that to find equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, QD must be equal to QS. So we use the formula and we get equilibrium price is $4.50 and equilibrium quantity is 9. Next. So for question A, assume two glove exporting countries, Ruberia and Synthetica, can supply glove to Glovaria at a price of $2 and $3 respectively. Show the supply curve of these countries in your graph. With free trade, which country exports to Glovaria? How many gloves does Glovaria produce, consume, and import? Next. So at the previous graph, we draw supply curve of Ruberia and Synthetica. With free trade, Ruberia will export glove to Glovaria because it can supply glove at a lower price than Synthetica, which is at $2. So, from the graph, we see that at price $2, the intersection between supply curve of Glovaria and blue line, which is at point A, quantity of glove is 4. That is the quantity of glove produced. Then, the intersection between demand curve and blue line, which is at point B, quantity of glove is 14. That is the quantity of glove consumed. Therefore, the quantity import will be 10 glove. We also can use the formula that we got just now to find the consumed, produce, and input glove like I show at the right side. But it is more easy and quick if we find it by looking at the graph. That's all from me. Thank you.
So for the question B, suppose Glovaria levies a 100% tariff on glove imports. Show the new supply curves of Ruberia and Synthetica in your graph. Which country exports to Glovaria? How many gloves will Glovaria produce, consume, and import? Okay. At the price level of $4, Glovaria will produces 8 gloves as indicated by the point A. At the intersection of the country's supply schedule and also the Ruberia export supply schedule. At this price, Glovaria consumer will be demand 10 gloves as indicated at the point B. And also the intersection of the country's demand schedule and Glovaria export supply schedule. This means the import will be 2 gloves as consumption minus by the production 10 minus by 8 we will get the two import 2 groups. That's all from me. Next question.
For the question C, suppose Glovaria forms a custom union with Synthetica. Determine the trade creation effect and the trade deviation effect. What is the overall welfare effect on Glovaria? Next slide. So as you can see on the slide is the supply curve combination of questions A, which is free trade, and question B, which is with tariff. The trade creation effect is indicated on the graph above by the sum of the areas marked A and B. The trade deviation effect is indicated on the graph by the area marked C. Next slide. To calculate the trade creation effect, calculate and sum up the areas marked A and B. First, calculate the triangle marked by A, which represents the production effect of forming a custom union. Recall that the area of a triangle is calculated as 1/2BH, where B is the length of the base of the triangle and H is its height. In terms of the rectangle indicated as A, the length of its base is 8 minus 6 equal to 2, and its height is equal to $4 minus $3 equal to $1. So the area of this triangle is calculated as $1, which is 1/2 multiply 2 and multiply $1. So the production effect of forming a custom union is $1. That's all. Proceed to the next presenter.
Okay, the trade creation effect if is calculated by the production effect plus consumption effect, which is production effect is $1 and the consumption effect is $1, and then we got $2 for the trade creation effect. The trade creation effect of forming a trade union for a nation Glovaria is $2. Since the trade creation effect is equal to the trade diversion effect, the customs union's overall effect on the welfare of nation Glovaria is zero. The increase of $2 in welfare brought by the trade creation effect is cancelled out by a decrease of $2 in welfare brought by the trade diversion effect. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, for the question D, the question suppose instead that Glovaria forms a custom union with Uberia. Is this a trade diverting or trade creating custom unions? By how much does the custom unions increase or decrease the welfare of Glovaria? Okay, next slide. So the answer is this is trade creating custom unions because Glovaria has access to cheaper imported gloves from Uberia at the price of $2 rather than at the domestic price of $4.5. At $2, Glovaria imports 10 gloves from Uberia. Refer to question A that Intan just explained just now, meaning it spent a total of $20 on gloves. At the domestic price
Let me
of
interrupt.
4.
Let me interrupt. It is easier to see your answer if you're talking from the graph. It's a lot clearer because we can see where on that graph.
I think Zulaika can go to the question A graph that Intan explained just now. Maybe I can explain. Okay. Alright. So as we can see, at the price of
Next graph.
So as we can see, that Intan just say that now, just now, Glovaria imports 10 gloves.
Next graph. This is still a free trade graph. Yeah, this graph.
Alright. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, I will continue explain. At $2, Glovaria imports 10 gloves from Uberia, meaning it spent a total of $20 on gloves. At the domestic price of $4.15, consumer from Glovaria will have to spend $45 on the same glove, which is 10 gloves. So can we go to my slide? So the calculation, this welfare is calculated by as amount spent at domestic price minus amount spent by importing from Uberia, which is $45 minus $20. So we get $25. Therefore, the country welfare increased by the amount of money it saved by importing lower price gloves from Glovaria. Glovaria welfare increased by $25 when forming a custom union with Uberia. That's all from us. Thank you.
So, the best way of answering this, you put your graph next to the words, next to the text. So because we can see that better. If you go back to the graph just now. Yeah. Whether that will be good to form a customs union or not, it is A plus B, you compare with C. A plus B is the trade creation. A plus B, trade creation. You compare that with C, trade diversion. If A plus B is greater than C, yes, do it. You know, form a customs union. If A plus B smaller than C, A plus B is trade creation, smaller than trade diversion, which is C, do not form a customs union. So all the calculation that you mentioned just now, easy for us, the viewer, to understand if you put the graph. Okay, one question for them.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Nora from Group 3. My question to Group 8 is, what is trade creation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'll try to answer that. Trade creations refers to the increase in economic welfare from joining a free trade area, such as a customs union. Trade creation will occur when there is a reduction in tariff barriers leading to lower prices. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else in the group want to answer? That's not really clear. Not clear. You have to go to the start. Anyone else in the group want to answer that? Or anyone else in the class want to answer that? I'll give a chance. Counting 1, 2, 3. No? Okay. Trade creation, A plus B, occurs when you have to start with the red lines. Synthetica with the tariff, Rubberia with the tariff. You know that during the free trade, Rubberia, the blue lines, Rubberia is the lowest cost producer in the world. Rubberia, the lowest cost. But because of this customs union, Rubberia is not a member, but Synthetica is a which country? Is it complete here? Synthetica is a member. So if you look at that red line now, the two red lines, Rubberia with the tariff, you know, the red line bottom one, it is expensive because of the tariff. Even more Synthetica. Now, this country is Glovaria, okay? We're talking about the country named Glovaria. So, whether Glovaria wants to join or to form a customs union, that depends on A plus B compared with C. Okay. Now, where does it come from, this A plus B, which is trade creation? So, Glovaria, with tariff, red lines, okay, the two red lines, with tariffs, yes, the two red lines. Now, assume, the story start. Assume Glovaria and Synthetica form a customs union. So now, immediately, with the formation of customs union, we'll go down to line blue line, which is Synthetica, which is lower than the red line, Rubberia plus tariff. You see, if I can put the cursor here, I don't know whether you can see. The two red lines, this is during the tariff. Nothing happens, not yet customs union. Now, suppose Glovaria and Synthetica get together to form a customs union. Immediately, this is the line that will come. Synthetica goes, without a tariff. Because when you form a customs union, no tariff among the member. So, this Glovaria will buy from Synthetica, which is actually not the lowest cost producer. This is trade creation, which is better than the two red lines. Trade is created. Previously, import is only this much. Previously, if there is no customs union, remember, we already not in free trade, okay? We are already non-free trade regime. There is tariff here. I mean, there is tariff in that country, Globaria, and so import is only this much under the non-free trade. This much only, very little imports. But with customs union, import is getting larger. This is the import from here to here. So that is trade creation. But that trade creation actually is a diversion from the free trade. According to free trade, this is the line. So you're buying, this Glovaria is buying from Synthetica, which is not the lowest cost producer. Buying from Synthetica simply because Synthetica is a member of customs union together with Glovaria. So this is trade diversion. So is that clear? Divert from the lowest cost producer under the free trade condition. Because Synthetica is not the lowest cost producer. Globaria buys from Synthetica simply because a member of customs union, which is no tariff among each other. You understand now? That's the trade creation. Got it? Okay, next group 9.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are from Group 9, will be present International Factors Movement and Multinational Enterprises. My name is Arvin, followed by the other presenters, Hafiza, Haziza, Ain Sabrina, Maisara, and Veni Sundari. So without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, this is question. Next. Okay, for the question A, with Carrier and Motorola behaving as competitors, the equilibrium price is certain dollars and output is certain quantity. At the equilibrium price, US household obtain certain dollar of consumer surplus, while companies profit total certain dollars. So the answer is when MC equal to NR equal to AC of $4 per unit, the equilibrium price is $4, while the equilibrium output is 5 units. Next, for the consumer surplus, this is in area A. The calculation is $9 minus $4 times 5 minus 0 times 0.5 equals plus $0.5. Next, we have to calculate total revenue and total cost to get company's profit. So, total revenue is P times Q, which is $4 times 5 equals $20. Total cost is C times Q equals $4 times 5 equals $20. So for the company's profit is PR minus TC, $20 minus $20 equals $0. That's all for me. I'll proceed next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, so for question B, suppose Karya and Motoria form a joint venture named Kamoria, assuming that Kamoria operates as a monopoly and that its cost MC equals to AC equal to $4 per unit. For question B, we need to calculate the price for output, total profit, and the last one is we need to calculate the deadweight loss. Next slide. So Kamoria maximize the profit by using the equation MC equals to MR, which is marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. So the equilibrium is at point B. We can see from the picture on the slide. So at point B, the quantity is 3, and when we draw the line upwards, the price will be at $6. Next one is the profit. We calculate profit from by TR minus TC, which is total revenue minus total cost. So total revenue is 3 units times $6 equals to $18. Total cost is 3 times $4 equals to $12. So the profit will be $6, or we can calculate the area on the graph, which is 6 minus 4 on the price axis and 3 minus 0 on the quantity axis equals to $6 also. So for the deadweight loss, it is on the pink color, which is the W there. So the deadweight loss is $2 times 2 units minus, I'm sorry, what do you call it? Times by 1/2 equals to $2.
So we move to the next question. To answer question C, we can look at the following diagram. So originally the cost was at $4, but after running a joint venture, specialization and productivity can be increased. So as a result, the cost is reduced to $2. So this cost reduction has shifted the MC curve downward from MC0 to MC1, as you can see here. And a new equilibrium point is reached when the MR curve intersects the MC1 curve. So I pass to the next presenter to explain it further.
Alright, thank you, Mai. So I will explain about the question C about the next meal where will begin or lose. So on the previous slide, this is the new MC equal AC if the per unit cost only $2. Additional producer surplus to joint venture due to the cost reduction is in the area D, which is equal $2 times 4 equal $8. So the deadweight loss formula is 0.5 times price difference times 0.5 times price difference times quantity difference, and the deadweight loss to the local economy due to the joint venture or the area B As we can see, for the price is 5 minus 4, so it's 1. And the quantity also 5 minus 4, so the result is 1. And we can calculate based on the formula. 0.5 times $1 times 1. So the result is $0.5. So the net welfare gain is the area D minus area B equal $8 minus $0.5. So the result is $7.5. And the next question will be explained by Aziza.
Okay, thank you, Winnie. For the next question, if Cameroon's cost reduction was due to the wage concession of Cameroon's Gilaka employees, the net welfare loss for Gilaka would equal to 50 cent dollar. It is because if the cost reduction are obtained through wage concession, there is overall loss to the economy equal to the dead weight loss as in part B, which is 0.50 cent dollar. Okay, so the next question, if Cameroon's cost reduction resulted from changes in work rules leading to higher worker productivity, the net welfare gain for Gilaka would equal to 7.50 cent dollar, which is area D minus area B. Okay, so this is our calculation. I will pass to the next presenter.
So as for the conclusion, I'd like to conclude that an international joint venture can yield a welfare decreasing market power effect and a welfare increasing cost reduction effect. The source of the cost reduction effect may be lower resource prices or improvement in technology and productivity. The joint venture leads to improvements in national welfare if its cost reduction effect is due to improvement in technology and productivity, and if it more than offsets the market power effect. That's all from us. If you guys have any question, you may ask.
Quick question. Why is that conclusion? What's the reason for welfare increasing market power effect? Why is that?
As for the conclusion, it enhanced productivity and welfare gains. By that, it increased productivity capacity and additional competition. So, cost reduction that would have unavailable if each parent performs same function separately, increased market power, greater ability to influence prices.
So cost reduction effect, you should mention also due to improvement in technology and productivity. So there's cost reduction.
Yes, you're right, Doctor.
Okay, from you guys, one question that was from me. We take one question. Please.
Good day, doctor. I'm Lavanya here. So my question is, what is the disadvantage of joint ventures in welfare effect?
Hi Lavanya, thank you for the question. To answer your question, disadvantage of joint ventures in welfare effects would be negotiations involve hierarchical command, and that can lead to welfare losses, which in market power effect. Thank you. I hope it answered your question.
Okay, thank you for the group. So now we just ended all the presentation for today. So we're gonna take a break and we will start with chapter 10. And we gonna take a 10 minutes break to 12:40 we'll come back together again. Okay, 12:40 now. 12:30.
Okay, Doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Doctor.